David, there's a bear behind you.
There is.
Friedel, we live? What's going on? Okay. Next week is Halloween, which is going to be awesome. I'm excited about that. But today is the all hands call. Hooray! This is the all hands call. It's the first of like 4 or 5 calls we have today. This one.
Richard just dropped while doing the intro.
Well, it looks like our announcer decided to leave us. So, welcome to the all hands call. I think, no, I don't know. Who's the moderator today?
I'm the moderator for the all hands call.
Maybe you take over because your internet seems to be
take over, Matt?
All right. We have our usual weekly calls right now. We're starting with all hands. It's issue number 229 in the IPFS PM repo has the lineup of calls, and we'll be covering Go IPFS, JS IPFS, the P2P, and IPLD. Although if you look at the ticket, you'll see that Nicola might be withdrawing the IPLD call. So for this first hour, which is now closer to 45 minutes, we'll be doing our all hands call, and the agenda is linked to there from the ticket. Before we start with the agenda, who is willing to be the note taker? Because we couldn't find the notes from last week, which would have said who signed on to be the note taker.
I checked the notes from last week, and no one was assigned last week, or if it's not written down. I can be the note taker for this one.
Great, thank you, David. All right, so David's the note taker. So first thing to do
I can do next week.
Great.
I can do next week.
A note taker for next week is Lars. Great. All right, so then roll call. So we'll do roll call by time zones, starting from the farthest east in Europe and working our way westward. It looks like Cuba is not on. So who's in Berlin? Anyone in Berlin?
That would be me. I'm Lars. I work with Protocol Labs and I work on the IPFS IO infrastructure and on Go IPFS. Yep, that's me.
All right. And then anyone else in Germany? Friedel.
So, sorry, they were just like calling me because apparently the place where I'm at is closing earlier today. This is very annoying. I will not be able to take notes for this part. I can try to be very fast to arrive at Lara's house and like dial into the call again. So sorry. Like, I can Can you?
Emily's going to cover for you when you have to leave.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, see you guys in a bit. See you in a bit.
All right. Anyone else in Europe? Mathion, do you have a microphone, or do you want to speak? I see a chat. You're in Poland. Just try to report issues as you find them. Want to help with Windows? Oh, you don't have a microphone. Okay, so Mathion helps find issues, does stuff with Windows, and doesn't have a lot of time to commit due to schoolwork. All right. Well, thanks for joining. And then, all right, anyone else in Europe? Okay, East Coast US, that includes me. I'm Matt Zomwalt. I'm Program Manager of Protocol Labs, so I deal a lot with the overall roadmaps and governance process, things like that. And maybe Emily?
Yeah, East Coast. My name is Emily. I am the project manager for IPFS. a note taker.
And I'm Richard. I do documentation and community stuff, and I'm up in Montreal right now.
All right, and the remaining people. So Aaron and Sid, I don't know what time zones you're in. Are you?
Hi there. I'm Sid. I'm in the Mountain Time Zone, and I'm just kind of watching, interested in what you guys are doing. We'll try to contribute some each week. Just good to be with you.
And is there anything in particular you're working on?
You know, I'm trying to learn your code base. I'm digging in a little bit. I'm trying to find my way for the most part.
Okay.
Well, definitely ask us if you have any questions.
Sure.
And Aaron, what time zone are you in?
Hey, I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Seattle. I'm also driving right now. But I work on Ethereum and MetaMask and stuff, and I'm going to get off the talking part.
Say hi to I5 for me.
Okay, and then Jeremy, you're the last one.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm in Oakland right now. It's not normal though. And I work on Go IPFS stuff because it's fun and I like it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was our roll call. Remember to add yourself to the attendees list in the agenda or in the notes. And then, are there any other agenda items? There are about 4 listed. Did people have any others to add?
Yep, the BST and time zone switch.
Yep, that's on there.
Okay, cool.
I'll have you cover it when it comes up. Any others? Okay, nobody's speaking out. All right, well then we'll dive right in. So first item on the list, better community forums. So this is a very old ticket in the IPFS community repo that recently got a comment, I think sometime last night, people proposing that rather than using GitHub issues to deal with sort of community, people asking for help, people for asking for advice, things like that, that we could instead use discourse.org. I don't know if people want to discuss this on here. I just threw it on the agenda because I wanted to make sure people knew that this very old ticket is getting is sort of revived and the topic is certainly relevant. In particular, I had a question, Jeremy. I know that you, whenever you're looking at managing your backlog in your Go IPFS repo, part of the burden there is that you have a lot of things that are not necessarily feature requests or bug reports. They're more like requests for assistance. So I wonder if how you would feel about creating this alternative forum as a place for that kind of discussion to happen so that the GitHub projects can be focused on work.
I would like that, yeah. That would make my job easier.
Even if it means that then you have to sort of pay attention to an additional place where there's discussions happening and notifications coming in from there.
That would make it, yes, because then I can go do that when I'm in the mindset to go respond to those sort of questions. And then when I'm in the working mindset, I can focus solely on the code aspects of things.
Cool. Did anyone else have? I mean, obviously, we should really just chime in on the GitHub issue, and it sounds like, I mean, people seem open to it. Do people have concerns about this idea? Do people want to discuss this here?
I mean, yeah, we should probably discuss it a little bit. Give it a couple minutes.
Yeah.
So nobody. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder, does anyone else have any thoughts on this?
Well, most of my thoughts, I think, are posted in that issue. I'm the one who created that issue some time ago, which was very much when I started working on IPFS and got lost and didn't know where things were. And the response we got last night from, I think he works for Discourse or has some affiliation at least, was pretty much the same thing, that he tried to get into the project and tried to look at the discussions, and the discoverability was really hard. That is an issue that has been brought up many times before. That's even an issue for people sometimes, like even longer on a project, not knowing where to post issues. And I think forum software has, in the history of like the internet, had quite a big impact on creating communities, and feels to me at least that it can offer a easier way for discussions that we currently hold on GitHub, rather than everything in GitHub issues, because GitHub issues are very much focused still on the productivity and code related things rather than on open discussions. I think the major concerns that always were there and that resulted in never moving this anywhere were Juan, who was pretty much against having a forum for a long time. I don't know if his mindset has changed here. It'll be important to get some feedback from him on this revived issue, I would say.
So Juan's hesitation has mostly been he wants to avoid fragmenting the community. I feel like we're large enough now that this is going to be a lot easier on us. We're large enough as a Protocol Labs team, and we're large enough as an IPFS community, and the greater, extended community in general is going to be helpful enough, I think, in keeping this. So right now we just have GitHub. I think moving to GitHub and Discourse would be a good thing. We have enough manpower.
Yeah. And
Also,
sorry. Cooper, go on.
yeah, also here.
Oh.
Yeah, I joined. Just got home. Also, the other thing is for example, we have the FAQ repo where we try to answer questions in general and so on. But many of those questions don't fit the FAQ repo. One thing, and other. I think many people feel that those are repos, those are issues. They are a bit more official and a bit higher level than your average forum question that could be answered by third party, not by developers themselves.
Yeah, and one thing to note on fragmentation, I think, even though pretty much everything happens on GitHub currently, there's still a major fragmentation in the sense of we now span multiple GitHub organizations plus many different discussion repos. And given the feedback we got from people getting into the project, the fragmentation is there in terms of discoverability, because it's pretty much because GitHub doesn't tell you like, hey, by the way, IPFS is also using this other organization to discuss this specific thing, and there's no simple search or things like that.
Yeah, I'm just going to read the comment from Matian because he doesn't have a microphone. He said, regarding community forum, I'm personally not too sure about a separate forum, but I would try to participate and help other community members a lot like people already do on IRC. Richard? Well, he came and he went. So it sounds like people, Hector, are you raising your hand or are you just adjusting your camera?
Just adjusting, sorry.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like people are interested in trying it out. How would we approach trying that out? Is it a matter of someone captaining, setting up a test account and doing a little trial run? Friedel?
I don't know. We could ping, I forgot his username, who said they could host it on discourse.org, and just ask him if he could set us up a test instance.
Can you post this issue in IRC real quick? I want to read through it.
It's also in the agenda notes.
Right, but posting in IRC means that other IRC people can also read and weigh in on it.
Ah, okay. So there you go. It's an IRC.
Sweet.
Erland-SH is his name. Already six thumbs up. Okay. So yeah, yeah, I would suggest posting and asking him if he'd be willing to set us up with a test instance, and then simply post it and see what the response is of people.
Okay. Well, should we be careful about messaging, because we want the option to try it and then say, oh, this doesn't quite work, and then not use it? Should we worry much about making it clear that this is a trial run before people start using it full on? Sid?
Which content would be moved to discourse.org?
Well, based on looking at, for example, Rust uses discourse pretty robustly. So if you look at the Rust forums, it's all the open discussion, everything from how do I do this thing to how do I make sense of this concept that's prominent in the framework or in the language. It's sort of a broad range of community discussions, which are things that currently they're sort of captured by IRC, but then if you miss the discussion, you missed it, both in terms of being and having an opportunity to answer questions and in terms of opportunities to see an answer that already appeared in the past. And then we sort of have that appearing in GitHub issues spread across our GitHub repos, but it's kind of hard to find. And it's hard for someone to even know where they would pose those questions. And it's a little bit like, it's one of those things that like those types of questions don't have a place to land. And then there's another way to frame it would be basically like any sort of query or proposal that isn't explicitly a feature request or a bug report, where you're instead sort of requesting a response from the community. Emily, I saw your hand up.
Yes, sorry, I had to jot some notes. So given that there's actually, it looks like a member of Discourse that's, engaged in that last comment, before we come up with an implementation plan, I would love if they could come to one of these discussions, and I would like to hear their suggestions of what they think executing well, especially if they're relatively familiar. It looks like he's been following along. So I would be interested, before we do anything, to just hear what their suggestions would be, since they're already engaging.
So would it be fine to just do that through in the GitHub issue where that person already chimed in, or do we want to wait a week and have them dial into the next all hands call?
I don't know.
All right. Well, then let's follow up by responding to that issue, and people can follow along there. And so anyone who's curious can just watch the discussions in that issue. Anything final on this topic before we move on to the next topic on the agenda? All right, next agenda item. All Q4 roadmaps on GitHub by Friday, October 28th. So that's the milestone we set, is that all the project roadmaps should be up on GitHub by this Friday. I'll be following up on that. That's my highest priority for the week, is to follow up with everyone and make sure that they've got their roadmaps in. So I don't know that needs discussion. It's more of calling it out as a high priority thing that I'll be putting a lot of effort into this week. Any discussion on that? Anything people need to bring up? Okay. Frito.
Yeah, I had one question. David is unfortunately not here, but he asked on some roadmaps to get stuff reviewed, but I'm super unclear on what this review is supposed to be. So David, if you listen to this later, I'll ping you again. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do on the review, or what questions you want answered.
Yeah, and I will follow up with him too. A lot of the roadmaps are going to be generated from GitHub milestones, and we'll just use the roadmap generator to generate them. But with David's projects, he's actually manually creating his roadmaps. So I'll be reading through those also. Anything else on that topic? I think regarding that, regarding the roadmap stuff, I think the roadmap exercises we went through this quarter, we're doing a lot of things right now that we did not get right last time, but I think there's a lot more room for improvement. I think we noticed a lot of things like obviously doing this in a more public forum, involving more voices in the discussions about priorities and discussions about what should be on the roadmap, but also it seemed like everyone really agreed that we should have had more discussions up front about the overall vision of priorities and narratives of like what are we wanting to get done in the next quarter, and then to derive the roadmaps from that, to derive the priorities for the roadmaps from that. So obviously for this quarter, we need to move ahead. We need to declare our roadmaps and move forward with something. But for next quarter, I definitely have that on my radar as something we're going to try to do better and do differently next time. Anything else about roadmaps? All right. Well then, daylight savings time. Lars, could you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, we're all in different time zones, as we all know. And most of these observe daylight saving times. And for example, I'm in Central European time. And on Sunday, we're going to switch back to, well, standard Central European time without daylight savings. Yeah, I don't know. I wrote down this issue the other day, laying out the basic two options we have. And one of them is just generally sticking with UTC throughout the year. And the other one is adjusting the meeting times. However we want to adjust them. That's a different story. Yeah, I guess the main problem with sticking with UTC would be that it might be too early for the US West Coast, I guess. That would be something like 8 a.m.
Well, and also the US is going to be experiencing daylight savings time like a week later in November.
So the decision or the running consensus on that issue was stick with UTC, don't respect daylight savings time, which means when your time zone hits daylight savings time, you will experience that as a time change of the meeting happening at a different time in your schedule. And so we will stick with that at least through all of the different time zones changing to their new setup. And then if the new time, if where everything is landed is not working, then we can revisit that and pick new times. But as Lars said, that mainly impacts the US West Coast, Jeremy. So that would mean, I think once daylight savings time goes away, you would be calling in an hour sooner.
It also impacts me in quite a way because I have labs till late, and as you can see, I barely got on time now. So if we don't switch the time, like next week is different because I don't have labs or anything, but after that, if we don't switch the time, I won't be able to go on those meetings at all. I will finish like an hour later, an hour and more, because I got off the labs early today.
Yeah, I will. I wake up at 8, so that's kind of like really rough. So I'll be laying in bed for these calls if that's the case. And I don't know how many people are interested in seeing that, but it's definitely not me.
So that sounds like two people suggesting that we should move the meetings to an hour later the week after next week. Is that right? Or move them to an hour later next week?
Would just be a request on my part.
All right.
Oh, that's not it.
Lars is advertising Club Mate. And Jeremy is responding to the advertisement.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, so Friedel, that's a good point. So on the issue, if people could follow up there and maybe follow up with the suggestion that I hear Jeremy and Kuba expressing of either next week or at least starting the week after that, moving to an hour later, then we can continue the discussion there.
But for next week, I mean, I feel like we won't get to discussion then until next week. So at least for, I think Central European time is the only one that's going off daylight savings this weekend, or maybe there's other ones, but for these at least, they should stick with UTC then, I guess, and wait for further adjustments.
Yes,
yeah.
I think yes.
So next week's call, we will stick with the current UTC times.
Yes.
The week after, it might change.
16 UTC.
Cool. All right. So then next week is Halloween. Are we having a call on Halloween?
I think yes. And I also think that we will have a costume contest as a bonus.
All right.
I will not be calling in with this face.
All right. There might be some costumes or otherwise alterations for next week's call. Who's interested in being the moderator for the all hands call next week? Friedel. Great. And then somebody said they'd be note taker next week. Was that Lars? Yes, Lars, you're already there. All right. Well then, those are all the agenda items. Are there remaining agenda items for this all hands call? Okay. Do people have demos?
I might be able to.
I'm back at my place. It's nice. Like when I'm gonna show you my room, because right in the night before I left for Toronto, there was a huge party, and look how tidy it is now.
That's beautiful, Lars.
Nice logo.
Everything is still in place, and just the mixer.
What is
So
that?
that was my demo for today.
What was that? What was the box?
Oh, that was mixers, and the box. A fog machine.
Oh.
Wait, you have not
Yes.
turned on, man. Like,
Next
So
week.
you've had a
turn it
fog
on.
machine this whole time and you haven't used it?
Yeah.
Well, he's saving for next week. You can just run the fog machine through.
Ooh, yeah. Lars in the fog.
I think I have a demo. If let's see if I can share my screen.
Matt, do you have, by any chance,
Okay.
everything set up on your machine?
Can you guys see my terminal here?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna increase that. Okay, so I have this IPLD object, right? That looks like roughly IPLD, right? Cool. So what if I could put it into IPFS? And what if I could get that back out of IPFS? And look, it's a thing. And then what if I could, I don't know, traverse paths over that? And it works and stuff. You know, what if that was a reality? Well, it is. Yay.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's all I got. I also I had a Bitcoin demo, but I broke it and I'm fixing it. But I could like I could take like this Bitcoin block here and put it into IPFS and it would like ingest it, but like, yeah, it's a bit broken, like I said. And you could traverse paths over the Bitcoin block, like walk down its transactions and like, you know, block /tx/transaction 17/value or something. And it was really cool. And I'm going to get that working soon, but I'm going to prioritize getting the regular IPLD stuff in. But our goal with that is to be able to, I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen. Oh, no, go away. Okay, yeah, our goal with that is to be able to ingest, or to be able to link between all of these different Merkle graph systems. So like Bitcoin and Ethereum, Zcash and Git and BitTorrent, and just be able to link between them all seamlessly and be able to build IPFS paths across them and request the objects through IPFS and just have it work. And we're very, 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 very close. So yeah.
One quick question, is the name of the deck command anyhow related with the Merkle deck format?
So the DEG command works for any Merkle deck.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be for Seaboard, for Protobuf, for Bitcoin blocks, and whatever.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions? Yeah, comments, concerns, queries, conundrums, suppose?
David is arriving.
David!
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Hey.
Take back over.
Well,
Wait. Let's put David and Inesh on. I want to see him.
Put David what, Jeremy?
Put David and Inesh on the video. I want to see them.
Oh yeah.
Welcome, Victor.
Oh, Victor.
Oh hey.
Hello, you can hear me?
I can.
Cool.
All right. So you just finished the demo. Next week, Friedel and I will have a demo with collaborative annotations of IIIF with images in a IIIF viewer. And maybe we can pre-install it on a couple people's machines and we can all annotate together and be having our annotations show up on each other's images.
Ooh.
In a distributed pub-sub fashion.
Subby.
We're not quite ready to do that this week.
I'll volunteer as tribute for that. If you
Cool.
need people.
Okay, what was the thing that we needed to follow up with David about? Roadmaps. There was something about Friedel.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Hey, David.
Hey.
So I remember you last week sometime you posted like roadmaps and you pinged me to review them. And I don't know what you want me to do because you asked like for feedback on specific things and I posted a comment somewhere, but you didn't respond, I think. So what do you want me to do there?
What I did was I basically like grabbed all my notes and the postcards I had and the pictures that I had from the wall, and I created a roadmap for peer-to-peer and just IPFS, and I created milestones accordingly with our plans for this quarter. I still have a bunch of cards that are milestones that we are not going to do this quarter that we didn't commit to do. So I will open those during like maybe November or December so that we have some kind of like online registry of all of these milestones that we came up with. But it's very important right now, just like for everyone that like it's working on these projects, to review the milestones, like just double check, make sure that I didn't miss anything. Add tasks to the milestones because I have added some, but like the more granularity, like the better description of the milestone, more people can contribute. So like if you go to a milestone and you see like there is a missing task or something that you see as a task had something written there, please add that. And also for the people, like peer-to-peer is a big endeavor. It's a big project. Like Lars is also like involved. I asked also review from Jeremy, one probably not at the time. So like if you can go there and add milestones, for example, I didn't add the multi-gram one. You probably want to do it. So yeah, like let's. What I hope to do during the calls today, just IPFS and peer-to-peer, is open the roadmap and just like review them with everyone on the call and add the milestones that are missing, if any, and like just try to describe better the milestones so that we can like basically have a place where everyone can reference for the work that they have to do during this.
Thank you.
So cool.
Cool. All right.
Thank you, Lars.
So then, is there anything else we need to cover on this call? Looks like we did a demo. We did we covered the agenda items, so we could break for 15 minutes before the next call starts. If nobody else has anything.
Yeah.
All right. Oh shoot! There was one thing. I'll think of it another time. There was something else I wanted to bring up. Yeah. All right. So we get 15 minutes off, and then the next call is Go IPFS. Half an hour after that is JS IPFS. All right. Well then, we'll see you in a few minutes.
See you later.
See you in a bit. You close it down.
Is it live right now? Maybe?
We don't.
Cool. So hi, welcome to the whole Go IPFS thing. This is the first sprint meeting we've had since we did our nice big planning stuff. And now we've got some really fun new milestones to talk about and go over. And we're all really excited for this quarter's batch of things we're going to accomplish. Man, I'm good at words today. I haven't had too much coffee. Cool. So if you guys want to follow along, I'm going to go through on github.com/IPFS/GoIPFS/milestones. I'll post this in IRC. Boom, like that. And we're going to go through one at a time and kind of talk about each of the milestones real quick.
Do you have a note taker?
Oh, yeah. Do I have a note taker? Hey, where's my David? There he is. Hey, David, you should take notes for me. Maybe? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool. Do you want to take notes because you're cool and in Berlin?
For sure. I'll take notes.
Cool. All right. So starting from the top of my milestone list, we have the file store implementation. This has been something Kevin's been working on for quite a while now, and we're really ramping this up and trying to get it pushed in soon. What the file store is basically when you run IPFS add, IPFS takes the input and chunks it into blocks and then stores those separately on disk. So if you add a file, afterwards there are now essentially 2 copies of that file on disk. The file store changes the way that works optionally and will make it so that IPFS can reference the original file so that you don't actually have 2 copies of the file on disk. This will make it nice for if you have a 3 terabyte hard drive and you're adding a 2 terabyte file, it makes that possible. And so we're hoping to have that done this quarter. There's a few issues in there already for getting closer. And if anybody wants to help out with that, the best way to really help us push that forward is review different aspects of the milestones, different PRs. The next milestone we have up is IPLD integration. This is something we've been really, really excited about and pushing for a while, and we're getting pretty close. Recently, we have the CIDs implemented. We have a PR up that allows us to have raw leaf blocks, which means that the blocks will actually be 256K and fit nicely inside disk boundaries. And then we're working on our CBOR implementation, a new DAG command that'll allow us to do fancy DAG traversal creation stuff. And then also in the less near future, but still very near future, different Merkle formats such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Git, Zcash, BitTorrent, etc. Be able to ingest all of their Merkle trees directly into IPFS and reference them and do all that fun stuff. So yeah, that's what this IPLD integration milestone's about. We're hoping to have the basic CBOR IPLD implementation in Go IPFS by the end of next week, merged into master, hopefully. So that's going to be, by the end of this week. Yeah, that's ideal. So yeah, hoping to have that, and we'll see how that goes. The next milestone down the list is directory sharding. This is basically that directory sharding is when IPFS adds a directory that's sufficiently large, it will create a block that's too big for us to transfer over the network. This is a problem because you obviously want to be able to transfer all your blocks over the network. So what we're doing is we've implemented a hash array multi-tray. And this is some fancy, cool data structure that has some really special properties about order of insertions into it and also stability of writes. And so we're going to use that as our data structure for IPFS directories after a certain size. Most of the code is written. We're really just waiting on a technical review. So if anybody knows stuff about like data structures and is really, really into, Merkle content addressed things like this, definitely could appreciate some input. Next up, we have the IPFS Core API. The IPFS Core API is going to be our new user-facing programmatic API. So this isn't, we're not referring to the HTTP API with this. We're referring to like, if I want to use Go IPFS and in my Go code, what does that look like? And so we're defining a common interface set of, commands that you'll want to use and be able to use to be able to deal with IPFS stuff in your application. And so having this defined will make that whole process a lot easier. Lars is captaining this, and we're hoping to have some progress on this pretty soon. Once we have it defined enough, the first thing will be to start replacing all of the different places we use IPFS in IPFS itself with this API. So it'll be really cool. So things like the gateway already uses the first revision of it, as far as I remember. Is that correct, Lars? No? Okay, so
there's a couple of open requests that could be merged.
Oh, you should definitely poke me about those, because I've been lazy about GitHub this last week. Sorry. Cool. So that'll be soon, and it's really exciting because it's like really meta dog fooding, really, which is cool. Next up, we have the Don't Kill Routers milestone. As some of you may have experienced, IPFS likes to have lots and lots of connections. It's very talkative. It's a social butterfly. The downside of that is that some routers, NAT tables, can't handle that many connections, and they crash and die and burn and stuff. So we need to not do that. And that's one of our milestones for this period of time, is that we would like to not kill people's routers. So yeah, that's important.
If you have router that dies, please comment on those issues, because
yes,
we need a way to replicate it first, and the second thing is we need to wait to test for it. So it might be not like contractor issues, but we are still not sure. It might be that, but it might be something completely different.
Yep. If you, so if this happens to us, please let us know the exact router you have. And if you're willing to help us debug things, we might have some things we want you to try. So Lars?
Just clarify, we're not actually talking about like actually killing and breaking routers.
Oh yeah, no.
Of like NAT tables overflowing and then weird behavior happening. Like internet exists for the rest of the network being intermittent, the router crashing and rebooting like that.
Yeah. Or like just some people
generally any weird network behavior that you think is related to it.
Yeah. Cool. Next up is IPFS 0.4.5. This is going to be a pretty cool release. We're going to start ramping up towards a release candidate fairly soon. We're going to get a few more things in first, but this release will improve bandwidth usage across the network by quite a bit. We have some fixes to the frequency and amount of provider records we send out. Also, some optimizations around bit swap and the DHT's usage of different stream type things. So basically making us be smarter about our bandwidth consumption. Getting this in and getting it deployed out to the wide network is going to really improve people's bandwidth scenarios right now, because that's kind of one of our primary focuses at this point. Among a bunch of other cool features, obviously. Next up is reducing resource consumption. So with this one, this includes the all the bandwidth stuff, but also includes reducing memory usage, reducing CPU utilization, and just overall making IPFS like a better citizen. I've been running IPFS on a Raspberry Pi latest master lately, and it works pretty great. So I'm looking at getting a smaller device as my next goal to keep IPFS running on a tinier things. And so if anybody has any recommendations for that, or just wants to run IPFS on a tiny machine, let us know and just kind of provide an update on that. And so yeah, we're ideally wanting to get like RAM under 100 megs idle, and then bandwidth usage under 1 gig a day idle, which still seems like a large number, but it's way improved. It'll be way improved from what we currently have. Next up is, sorry, somebody. Friedel, your mic is not doing it for you. No, it sounds like.
Taking notes of that.
That should be better now.
There we go.
Oh, sorry about that. The cable was pulled. Yeah, which version you're using? Because I have a Raspberry Pi 1st generation around. So if you want to go,
I've been running latest master. So
no,
Yeah,
hardware wise.
Oh yeah, the V3.
Okay, cool. Because I have the 1st generation lying around, so we could try with
Nice.
that one.
Yeah, let's do that. And then I'm also like, I think I have a Beagle Bone laying around that might work as a smaller than that. Lars, did you have a thing to say? Or just, oh, that thing, that I agree with you. And signal, yeah, cool. All right, next up is improved performance. IPFS is kind of fast-ish. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not good. And so we're really looking to improve performance in some key areas. Primarily, I would like to see the time to add 10,000 files in a row improve significantly. And then I would also like to see the time it takes to transfer a 10 gig file over LAN improve significantly. So these are two, I feel, fairly common scenarios that are actually very slow right now for various reasons. And if we can figure out how to make these better, I would feel very confident to say that we've definitely improved performance this quarter. Next up is improved developer experience. So this is a huge one. So we really want to make it much easier for developers to use IPFS. Now, that means a lot of things. That means we need to make it easier for them to learn about IPFS. We need to make it easier for them to find information about IPFS. We need to make it easier for them to actually just use the code itself and read through the code. So this is tutorials, documentation, examples, improving our websites, improving the actual APIs we have, so like the core API, among many other things we have planned. This is going to be a big endeavor, and we can use all the help we get on it. So if anybody is good at writing documentation or enjoys, writing tutorials or how-to guides and examples, we want you to come help and would love every bit of time we can get. Especially people who are newer to the space, people who aren't super familiar with the code base and the system in general, have some of the most valuable feedback for us on this, because they're able to tell us, I don't understand this, and that's a good filter for what we should actually work on. Some of the core team members who understand the system quite well have a hard time figuring out what actually needs tutorials written for it and what actually should be explained. Cool. So next, wait. Oh, those are, okay, the final two milestones are old ones that I should probably close. So yeah, those are our primary milestones for this quarter. If you think I missed any, please speak up now. All right, cool, yeah. So a lot of those milestones don't have too many goals or issues in them yet, but this week and next week I'm going to be hopefully working on fleshing that out and getting stuff put together for that. Yeah, that's what I've got. Matt, are you there still?
Yep.
Cool. So that is running through the issues or the milestones. Do you think we should do something else here, or do you want to just talk about general IPFS stuff?
So the other thing, now that we've sort of gone through the road mapping thing for the past couple weeks, now it's back to the normal process that's more centered around waffle boards. So one thing we could revisit which was a discussion that happened while you were in Shanghai, was about how to go about cleaning up your existing board. And I can't remember. There was definitely there was a dependency tree going on. It was like you needed to clean up one of the columns in order to actually clean up the column we really wanted to clean up. But I don't remember which was which. I know Kuba was the one who pointed it out. I think it was that.
I must remind myself too. So let me take a look at Waffle.
I think it was that the in progress ready needed to be cleaned up so that there was.
Yeah, so the stuff from in progress that wasn't a priority, it wasn't the focus, it wasn't worked right now. But we did that by moving stuff from ready, removing stuff from ready, most of the stuff.
Okay.
So now we should just go through the inbox.
So then I guess the thing to review, if you go from right to left, done is obviously the stuff that's done. In progress is the stuff that people are currently working on right now. And so this is where Waffle is a bit misleading, because any new PR that gets opened is, I think, automatically put into in progress.
That I think.
What was that?
I think it got moved.
What got moved?
Yeah, like new contributor of PRs go into inbox right now.
Okay, great.
New collaborator PRs go to in progress. So if someone from us creates a PR, it goes to in progress.
Oh, well, that's perfect, because that sort of represents the truth. Like that represents reality then. And so then the in progress column, those 36 issues should be things that people are working on this week. And then if it's stuff so if they're not working on it this week, it should be either in ready or in the backlog. So ready would be when you're done with whatever you're doing now, pull stuff out of the ready pile and start working on it. So that's the stuff that's like at the front of the queue for this week. And then the backlog is all the stuff that's like, we will get to that, but it's not the next thing for people to work on this week. It's not the like pressing stuff for this week. So we actually changed around the default settings in the Waffle board so that would be at least more accurate than it was to fit that description. And I think it was that you have 36 things in progress right now. Are some of those things actually just ready? And also, do you have things in the ready column that are really in your backlog?
Yeah, there's definitely not 36 things that are in progress.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do for that is I think Kuba and I should sit down and have a video call at a different time and go through that. Probably bring Lars along too, because we want to torture Lars. But yeah.
Okay. Well, so that's a good idea. The key thing. So before I think I forget what it looked like before, but I think you had like 400 things in the ready column or 400 things in the backlog column. So it's already more readable that having only 90 things in backlog, 20 things in ready, and 35 things in progress. That if on that call you sort of sort those columns out so that they're accurate, then what we can do is over the coming weeks, sort of each week we can just tackle 10 tickets out of the inbox and like categorize them appropriately, so we don't have the 400 things in the inbox. That would be the suggestion, but we don't have to do that this week.
Yeah, let's definitely pick a different time for some of us to go through that.
Cool. So other than that, I don't have anything in particular to bring up.
Cool. Then yeah, just general IPFS. Let's go. Lars, do you have anything to share for this week?
This week I'm gonna do one task of the developer experience milestone, which is improving JX tooling with regards to the workflow of updating packages.
Awesome.
And specifically bubbling up changes through the dependency tree.
Cool.
Because
do you have an issue open for this? Because I've been doing some thinking a little lately on like GX workspaces.
Been doing that manually and
okay.
Let me check. I think I have a pull request on the call.
Okay. So
Yep,
the GX
issue number 106 in GX.
Okay, cool. So I was actually thinking that GX Workspace should be, I think as you think as well, it's its own subtool. But I also think that each of the packages that we're managing in a workspace should be like dependencies of this. So like the GX Workspace would be a package, and its dependencies would be each of the packages that we're managing the updates for. And then we can do some fun stuff there about keeping like the entire tree referenced by that workspace package in sync.
Also, you can bring into the use the repos too.
Yeah, we could use repos. Ooh, yeah. So let's definitely I'll post my thoughts there. So that's issue which one?
106.
106. It was closed. Oh, it's a pull request. Okay. Yes, the update tree. Cool.
So my update is that I'm still working, like I'm again working on private networks, and I'm settling on the crypto primitive for private networks. So I'm sending an issue comment about the primitive I most likely will go with.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone has any reasons not to go with this primitive or knows crypto analysis and can say that something wrong with it, please come forward and stop me right now or like in next few days.
I think I'll send this. I'll send your write up to a friend of mine who's into crypto fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Like the comment I sent where one also brought the primitives up.
Yeah. Okay. You want to send me that link again, just because I'm bad at things?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Hector, what have you been up to?
Hey. So I've been really busy with things which are now IPFS, strictly speaking, and like the beginning of last week, I was recovering from the jet lag. My house was upside down because they were changing the windows. I was basically reading around and trying to do what I could, but I couldn't do much. And on Friday, I was flying over here.
Oh, and where is here?
Barcelona.
Okay, cool.
I'm here until Wednesday. I'm gonna invest the time I can this week into looking at the API docs and improve them. First, aligning them with JavaScript, and then checking out if they work with the Go API.
Cool.
That's the plan right now, but the most of the week is taken by the conference.
Yeah, that's fine. Have fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. And now, hey, why are you sleeping? What have you been working on this week? Hey, this past week I went to a Web of Trust conference, which consumed a lot of my time, but was pretty valuable, and I got to talk to some interesting people. I also went to an Ethereum meetup and watched some really cool talks about proof of stake and zero knowledge proofs, and generally just fun IPFS networking in general. Beyond that, actual code I wrote was dealing with IPLD and doing some fun traversal stuff, and I made a cool Bitcoin hack where I ingested a raw Bitcoin block into IPFS and did path traversals on it. So in general, I'm working on getting the graph traversal IPLD stuff done and ready and in. Yeah, so that's, I think, a quick summary of what's going on in Go IPFS land in general. So thank you all for watching. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, queries, or conundrums to pose? No? Cool. I think we're good. We can take a couple-minute break.
Gotta go. See.
See ya.
See you later.
Matt, did you kill the recording?
No, I'm not the recorder. Friedel is.
Oh,
I'm only the host.
We started. Where is Richard? Okay, so Matt just announced the call. That's what I was looking for. We need a note taker. Who wants to be our note taker?
I can do it.
Lars, thank you, Lars. You're awesome. Cool, Lars. All right. Are we live? Do I need to wait for something? Are we live? Cool. Welcome everyone. This is the JS IPFS call. The third call from this Monday sprint. Need a note taker. I see that Kumave is cleaning his laptop. Okay, cool. Let's get it started. So we have an agenda for today, and the agenda will consist on starting by reviewing the roadmap. So there is a PR on JS IPFS with a roadmap update, but I copy pasted the update of the roadmap to this header path that we use for taking notes, so that we can like fill in quickly, quicker the roadmap, and then I can like backport it again to the PR and then commit it to the master. The other thing that we also need to discuss is the state of IPLD in JS IPFS, async crypto, and the bit swap milestone that should be around to be delivered by next week. Cool. Any other items that you would like to add to the agenda before starting? Sounds good. All right. It's weird because I don't hear anyone, so I'm not sure if the connection is good.
No, it's all good. I know you expected me to add something to the agenda, but you already added everything, so sorry.
I was just like looking for some feedback. I was not sure if you guys, you all were being able to listen to me. Cool. So roadmap. Let's go milestone by milestone. We have the first milestone for this quarter, which is the interplanetary JavaScript. It's just a way to put it where we just go through several discussions, namely like the use of a transpiled version in all our modules, the use of like which flow control library that we actually pick for our modules, and like making sure that like it's consistent across all the modules, so that people that like want to contribute or want just like to hack throughout the code base, they don't have to constantly like context switch between the control flow libraries that we are using, which versions, like which runtime versions to support, and so on. This is the first milestone. Like it basically, like we have some good intuitions about this, and like there is kind of like a natural convergence to some of these topics, but there's also like a lot of opinions that they need to be backed by experience and by like a lot of thinking to understand what should we decide with regards to these topics. And so we are creating issues for each of these so that we can have the discussion throughout this quarter. And by the next IPFS gathering, we can make the final decision and adopt it fully for the next quarter. It is a long process, but like rushing things can create more pain than gain. Although, again, as I said, like there's some kind of like natural convergence happening. Friedel?
I would like to not do this for 3 months. At least not all of these, because some of these we really should fix now because they create pain for the users, like lib and source. So and Phantom.js, we actually have, like we already will drop it with async crypto anyway. So those build issues I would really like to get resolved really soon, because and also they have been up for discussion for a long time already. They like those issues have been created 2 months ago, some of them. So there was a lot of time to give feedback on them.
We can definitely, like, if we feel comfortable and confident of like the decision that we are making, we can definitely make the decision sooner. We just want to make sure that everyone has a voice to it and like everyone can discuss. Although we have discussed it a little bit in IRC and like throughout some issues, there hasn't been like a specific like saying here is a discussion of like this is about like runtimes and like about like the JavaScript version that we support throughout our code base and the browsers that we support and the Node.js version that we support and that we will be supporting and what it means in terms of like maintenance cost, what it means in terms of like users, what do we need to do if you want to support by default a set of users that are in certain browsers, but like if we want to support other users that are in other browsers, what we have to do in terms of work, what schemes we have to provide, etc. So now we have an issue for that on just IPFS. I can link it here to the Etherpad. But yeah, like once we feel comfortable, like let me put it in by other words. Like I mean by next IPFS gathering, no matter what, no matter like we'll make a decision. Like that's like the last call. Like if someone hasn't made their voice heard till then throughout these issues, we will have to make a decision because we cannot drag this anymore. But if we are very confident, like 2 weeks from now, mid-quarter, etc., we can also move forward. Does that sound good?
Right. Well, for me, the like I've been confident, like I don't know what we are confident means. That it's very vague for me, like because everybody has a different level of confidence, I guess, for these things. So I would like to put like a more tangible thing on this, then we feel confident about it.
Okay. You're right. So let's define confident as having a lot of people heard from, especially the people that are contributing to the code base right now. Having like things, for example, the browser tests, where, for example, the browser tests that you were running today informed us that like some browsers, especially mobile browsers, Safari and Edge, will not support some of the sync crypto, some of the web crypto primitives that we are right now using. And like, what do we need to do in order to support those? Like, what do we need to do to shim those? Is there modules available that we can already use? Would it require us to build those modules, etc.? Like, basically putting all that information in an issue and making sure that people read them and like basically give a thumbs up. And like if everyone gives a thumbs up, then we are good to move ahead. Does this?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. I'm just worried that we will not get much feedback because those issues that we've been posting and talking about exactly this stuff already for months didn't, like, there were some comments and like we talked about them, but the overall amount of feedback we got there was very little. Even like
it is different to say that we have been discussing them for months than we have an issue open for months and we haven't really discussed it seriously. We are unboxing it, although it's like a huge time box. We are time boxing it, saying this is like the thing that we want to settle this quarter, and here is the issues that like you should be checking if you want to participate in these discussions. And if not, like if you don't participate in the discussion, we'll have a decision by the end of the quarter, of course, justified, and like we'll like make sure to have notes to explain everyone why we went in that direction. But we are now intentfully like having this discussion to make a decision soon.
Right.
So it's different, right? Like because like we have opened an issue with a problem when we haven't been like reaching out to the entire group saying, hey, like we really have to like settle on these things like during this time period.
Okay.
Cool. I'm just like, we can like also expand on this a little bit more on the issue. I'm just going to move ahead because we still have to all the other.
Let's go through the rest of them.
Cool. The next one is the interface flood sub. So this is a small milestone. It's basically coming up with an API for the flood sub API on just IPFS and just IPFS API. Right now, there is a proposed one that exists on just IPFS API, which comes from like a first draft implementation, like basically going with the Win implementation that we that happened in September while flood sub was being implemented. It's still missing some things, like IPFS also was missing some things at the time. If you check the pub sub nodes, there's I think described there that talks about topic descriptors, and it's a way to avoid like spam on the PubSub network that it like needs to be implemented. Like we definitely will not ship PubSub on just IPFS and Go IPFS without having a way to prevent spam. Otherwise, people will just like basically destroy the network, melt the network by creating a lot of messages or fake notes that will create a lot of messages. So we need like to revisit that, make sure that that is complemented on the interface, and then like follow the same pattern as we have been doing so far, writing the spec, writing the tests, implementing a JS IPFS API and JS IPFS, passing the tests, merging it in, call it to go. But this milestone is just like by writing this interface, just writing the interface. Again, simple one. Cool. The next one is the IPLD milestone. So in the same way that IPFS is pushing to have IPLD very soon on master, like on a version that people can use, we also are doing that. There is a huge, there is a ton of pull requests towards this milestone. There's a lot of work already done. We are pretty close to get it like shipped on just IPFS. And yeah, it's about like handling IPLD formats and CIDs and like IPLD formats from DAG per bubs, DAG CBOR, Ethereum formats, block transaction, and all the other ones, raw objects, and of course, creating the interfaces so that other people can implement formats and integrate them with our IPLD stuff. There is a request linked here on the tasks, which has a very long and comprehensive list of tasks that need to be done for this milestone. Cool. The next one is one of the, oh, I see. So you're already like writing dependencies for this one. The next one is Sync Crypto. So Sync Crypto is something that was motivated by the bundle size of just IPFS and just IPFS API, because we were bundling very large crypto libraries to shim primitives, crypto primitives that were not available on the browser. And Sync Crypto was motivated by that, and also by the performance of those libraries. Like doing crypto on JavaScript means that like you are doing very CPU bounded operations in a single threaded environment. Although you can use web workers, that's true, but like it's still slower than using the bindings to the C++ libraries that live underneath the runtime. We now like Friedel has like basically done all the PRs that are necessary. They need like some updating, but like it's there, and we have pretty good numbers about like the bundle size and the performance. But it also means that like by doing this migration, we stop supporting some browsers that don't support some of these primitives by default. Just why why does this always have to happen? And yeah, so like as Frido was, do you like to give this update, Frido, on the requirements for getting the Sync Crypto in?
Sure. So not all of these requirements are hard requirements. Effectively, the only hard requirement is like drop Phantom.js from the tests, because like the tests cannot ever pass on like Phantom.js because it doesn't have web crypto. And the other requirements are not hard requirements. They're like, we should do this before doing that, and that means we should be like clear about which browsers we want to support, and depending on that, we should test for them, because currently what is currently the state of affairs is we test in 3 browsers, which is latest Chrome, latest Firefox, and Phantom.js 2. And that means those are the browsers that we currently support. All other browsers are optional at this point, given our test suites. So we actually don't know if we support them or not. Phantom.js is dropped by web crypto. Chrome and Firefox work fine. The question now is, what about the other browsers? We should be explicit here, saying for now we don't support them. Given that, so there's another requirement here that plays into this for everybody to be aware of. to have JS IPFS actually be peer-to-peer and not just connect to some server instances, we need WebRTC. WebRTC is only supported by Firefox and Chrome, and I think Opera, but because they use Blink. So latest Opera is pretty much identical to Pro because they use Blink in terms of what they support on features. So this is actually an already very hard cutoff, where with literally no chance to polyfill because you can't polyfill WebRTC really. You can just not use it and use WebSockets. So yeah.
That's true. Nevertheless, like IPFS can still work in a non-WebRTC enabled browser through Relay. And also, like that's something even the WebRTC enabled browsers do need to use Relay to connect nodes that don't support WebRTC or WebSockets or that are behind some kind of net.
In theory, this is not something that is actually there.
Which is also one of our goals for Q4, the Relay and the DHT. So on that, like taking this milestone and taking the other one that's like after the bit swap, so like the JS IPFS and JS IPFS API bundling, which is connected to like the developer experience and getting more users to like use the stuff. It means like it surfaces the need and the priority of like the first milestone to like settle on the runtimes that we support very hard. Like we really have to put a priority on that specific task and just like agree as soon as possible because it's dragging this work by a lot. And again, in the same way that we have to have the discussion and have to have like all the numbers and the facts on the table so that people can like evaluate them, I think like having these two cases there will motivate a lot for us to move faster on that decision and just say, hey, like we can get IPFS and just IPFS API to work really nicely on from these browsers forward. And we can support all the other browsers if we add these shims, but we are not going to ship them by default because that will make like things slower. Here's how you can like support all the other browsers. So yeah, these three milestones or these two milestones plus this task from the other milestone are really connected and should be a priority because it will like make things faster for everyone that's like working on the project.
Yeah.
Friedel, I see that like basically there is basically like the lead for these milestones or the primary lead it's you. Is there like, of course, it involves discussion for people. We should be proactive this week on getting everyone to like shim in. Is there anything that you don't have right now that you need, or you just like roping people into this discussion as soon as possible?
No, well, I looked at this stuff for far too long. I pretty much at this point need a decision so we can finally ship stuff. That's effectively the last blocker. Though warning here, there is no polyfill we can use for web crypto, not for all the things we have. So if we want to polyfill other browsers, we will have to write that ourselves. Using like the crypto in JS is there. We used it before, but we have to write the interfaces ourselves.
Yeah,
that's
the entire thing.
Not the entire thing, but all the APIs that are missing in those browsers. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's definitely like circle on that back again and like make sure we list all the things that we should do this week to get that done as soon as possible this week or next week. Okay, so we are like 7 minutes left and we have 2 more milestones and I'm going to go quickly through them because I want to save the last 5 minutes to discuss what's going on this week. So the last 2 milestones are BitSwap complete. BitSwap complete is getting BitSwap to work in the same level as Go, like meaning like you can fetch an entire directory or entire file through BitSwap, which is something that worked before because I remember like fetching files from Go IPFS that were like full pictures, and it's like now failing, so we need to fix that. I believe it does.
David, you're cutting off. David, you're out.
Something might. What am I?
Yeah, you're cutting off.
Am I out?
Your robo voice.
Is this?
Am I cutting
is
off
this-
as well?
is-
Cutting off as well?
No, very good. Am I? Hello.
It's getting better now.
Okay. Can you hear from you? Yeah, the episode. Can you hear me from Lars' computer?
No. Oh,
No, it was most important.
Kumabas can hear us. Okay, good.
Okay. Is it better? Okay, sweet. Sorry. So tough to find internet in Berlin. Cool. So let's use these 5 minutes wisely. What I wanted to bring up is that like right now we have these like big pull requests for IPLD. Things work, and like we have all the tests across all the repos passing. So we have like basically it means like we now support CIDs, and we have everything that was working before, with regards to like Unix FS engine, block API, object API, like all working on CID/IPLD format space. We also have the IPLD resolver. That API is still not exposed on JS IPFS, but like it's there on the IPLD resolver. Me and Jeremy are working on what the DAG API should look like. And because it is like, so right now we have like two major like set of PRs, the Sync Crypto and the IPLD, which are like massive, like just like 15 PRs each, which it's so annoying for people that want to contribute, because they have like two npm, like git clone, git clone, change to the right branch, npm install, all of them, and then npm link one by one on a given order. And what I want to do, and because like we have the tests passing, the only tests that don't pass are the bit swap ones, because the bit swap needs to now like know the new protocol, and like needs to be like bit swap 100 and bit swap 11 to like be able to like cope with IPLD and pre-IPLD. What I would propose to do, if everyone agrees, is like merge the entire IPLD thing, and then like revise the entire Sync Crypto on it, to get the Sync Crypto runtime decision done very, very fast, so that we can like also merge it in and like work from master. Not necessarily like release new version of everything or release all the subcomponents, not just IPFS, but like work from master, so that people that are building IPLD formats can work on a version that they don't need to do a lot of work to like use these things. As I said, like all the tests are passing. So other than like having review, like Friedel is doing a lot of review, like as everyone else that wants to join the review process, please welcome to. Like if we get all the pull request review by tomorrow, we could like start merging things by tomorrow or releasing, making like it easier for everyone. If this sounds sane to everyone.
You're crazy. No,
okay.
Sorry. Yeah, so I really like, we need to merge this stuff. This is like horrible at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I literally like, I was thinking about, well, I should check the IPLD branches out, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because then I'm going to lose half a day literally to just check that out and get it running. So there are a couple of notes I want to add here. One, yeah, I think it makes sense to merge IPLD before async crypto, even though it pains me, but the IPLD changes are actually less invasive most of the time, so it makes makes more sense to merge them first.
Also, that enables
IPLD.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, the IPLD changes you're referring to is the awesome IPLD spec stuff?
Yeah, the awesome IPLD.
IPLD.
Yeah, exactly.
So that makes sense. the other thing is, yeah, around crypto. So I want to make a crazy proposal. Let's figure out the runtime after we merge async crypto or during, because here's the thing, right? The core code doesn't. We're going to make those changes. I think we're pretty much established on that. We want to use web crypto where possible. So the only thing here is to do then later is actually just write polyfills for the P2P crypto. We can do that completely independent of the code that is there, because we will want to polyfill the exact same interfaces and just give people a way to include them if they need to support browser X or Y. Which browsers that will be exactly, we can figure out like in a discussion with this stuff merged and making development alive a lot easier.
So we are like running over time, but like just to answer you, and I don't think that's as crazy, because what you're basically proposing, like if we take one extra day to merge all the IPLD because CR needs to happen and like CR needs to be applied, so like that's like merging by tomorrow. Async crypto needs to be rebased like one day more maybe to like get the rebased, reviewed, applied, merged. So like one day and a half more, which means like that gives us like 2 days and a half, maybe 3, to like actually have that discussion and like fill in everyone and like feel more confident about like the runtimes that we want to support. As you said, like we have already a bunch of information. It's not like we are going to gather it from scratch. So we can move a little bit faster there. And what that means is also like we managed to like meet our expectations of like integrating IPLD by this week, finishing async crypto by this week. And because like we get to merge IPLD by tomorrow, I can like start working on the BitSwap 1.1 and BitSwap 1.0 and like meet what our goal was, which is like having BitSwap complete by next week as well. Which is really cool. That like unblocks tons of things. So I'm really excited about that. Nevertheless, like let's definitely make sure that the issue for runtime support gets filled with people's comments. Like maybe someone will say something that like it blocks it, but at least like we have a discussion.
One last thing, which plays into the P2P as well, so I think it's okay if we use a little bit of P2P time here, is we should also, at least I would want to propose, at least very strongly, for dropping the lib folder and moving to main, pointing to source. The motivation here being, we actually test our code against Node 4. We don't ever test against the lib transpiled version actually. So actually all our code we know for sure runs in Node 4 and 6. So there will be no runtime change here. It's literally just making everybody's life easier, that if you develop on JS IPFS or JS P2P, you don't have to worry about building before linking modules. And I think Kumav, you will agree, and David, you probably will agree as well. Also, if you can look at the PRs, like all the pointers to do change back before merge. Let's not ever change that again. I would really like to make the case to do that.
So I need to check that PR again on Azure, because I think like you added more stuff than just like that, which also like has a South Lab test, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so that PR has, it drops the transpilation, it added sauce lab test for latest Firefox and Chrome, and it also drops all the Webpack magic. So no more Webpack magic, just default loaders for Babel and JSON. And my goal was to release that before async crypto gets merged, and basically make sure every async crypto PR works based on that version. So yeah,
let me think about that a little bit more. Like definitely not a month, like just today. This is like some hours to look at it, and I'll like give you feedback. And like again, like if everyone has time to give Frido some feedback on that PR, and like that discussion would be very welcome. Okay, we are like eating time from peer-to-peer, and I don't want to do that anymore. I hope that this was productive. I would like really ask everyone that like could add tasks to the milestones that they know. Like, oh, I know that this has to happen under this milestone as like a unit of work. Please do that so that we have like a very comprehensive milestone description. Like you can add them on these notes. I will update the milestones tomorrow by grabbing the tasks that were added here on the other plan. Or you can like just pull request directly to the milestone. That's also like pretty cool. Thank you. So let's jump into Live peer-to-peer. Ops team is Matt, right? I don't see.
Yeah,
camera.
I pinged him on IRC.
You see ops team.
Yep, that's me.
Oh, sweet. Matt, you're handling like moving from like announcing the next section, right?
Sure. I just pasted in IRC. Thanks, Frido, for reminding me. So I just posted the links on IRC, and then I don't know that we need to re-announce in the video.
Well,
sit on yours.
yeah, we can.
Oh, but we have no way to multiplex the headphones, huh?
I have a splitter.
You have a splitter?
Yeah.
No, it's fun to listen in while they. Don't we need Jeremy on this call for the P2P?
Yeah, definitely.
Let me try to find. I think maybe he didn't get to Phil's fast enough. Oh, interesting. So Emily is pointing out that apparently we can make the Zoom call recurring. So the link, oh, there's Emily, so she can speak for herself. In a GitHub issue or something. Thanks, Emily.
All right. Okay. So I'm opening the Etherpad for this session. Let me just bring the roadmap in. Can people hear me? I'm with Lars. Is this working?
We can hear you.
That's it. Just making sure. Okay, so in the same way that we just went through on just IPFS, I also created a PR for the roadmap on peer-to-peer. It is not yet reviewed by Jeremy, Lars, or Kuba. So there might be some else, like I'm sure there's some milestones that are missing here, especially on Gil peer-to-peer, like the improving connectivity milestones, multigram. Maybe we can even add them during the discussion here. But yeah, this meeting should be like shorter. So like if you have extra items to add to the agenda, please do, because there has been more work happening on Go IPFS and just IPFS thanks to IPLD than we peer-to-peer in the last week. Cool.
Can you link that issue?
So I can link here for sure.
Either IC or Etherpad.
So it's pull request number 8. So 8.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also paste it. You also have the issue. Like you can add directly to the issue or to the PR or to the Etherpad. Cool. By the way, one of the things that I didn't mention during JS IPFS call is that like we have kind of like an estimated dates of completion for things, and I just like to give the developers, the contributors, kind of like a priority on what to act first and what is needed by other projects. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to strictly ship something if we don't feel confident about it, but at least like anyone that wants to spend time knows that's our focus for those weeks or till that time. Okay, first milestone, we peer-to-peer interfaces. In the same fashion that we have interface IPFS core, which gives us a common interface across implementations, we also have that for peer-to-peer, but because peer-to-peer has even more things that integrate with each other, we have interfaces for transport, for stream mixer, for connection, for discovery, for routing, for record store, and of course for peer-to-peer itself. We are also building now an interface for external transports, XTP. And so far, these interfaces have believed more or are more developed for the JS implementations, because that's like what we always follow across our peer-to-peer JS modules, but we want to bring them to Go. So we need to focus and have an effort to review them and make sure that they don't have weird JavaScript stuff that is not applicable at all in Golang or in other languages. Go ahead, Bruno.
Good question on this. What's the actual deliverable here? Is the goal to have those interfaces actually be implemented? Is the goal to write a spec? What is the thing that
so this? The goal, if you see the interface through Muxer, we have a Go definition and a JS definition, because that was the first one we built, and it was basically we were working all in the same room, so it was very easy to sync into interfaces, and it worked pretty well. But we haven't done that for all the other ones, so we want to get to a state where we have Go definitions and JS definitions that then can later be implemented in both sides. Like if we need to change something in JS, we will change something in JS, but probably will more be matching the interface in Go. So yeah, like it is like I know that like me and Juan are really interested in working on this and like getting it done and putting like a seal saying, okay, this is good to go. But like probably you want to be part of the discussion as well, Lars, right? And Jeremy will be definitely there. So like, cool. Okay, the next milestone is just like a more focused. So like the first one is interfaces. The second one is interface XTP, which is one of the interfaces, but because it's something new that there is no implementation yet, we really need to make sure that we understand completely how the external transport protocol works to make sure that the interface is right. Otherwise, we will be writing the spec before writing something that we know how it works. The third milestone is documentation of peer-to-peer modules. And I don't remember seeing documentation in the JS IPFS. Oh, it was there. We just didn't cover it. Okay, I forgot about milestone.
We can talk about it here.
Peer-to-peer modules. So this is about creating a way for people to check how our modules work. Also to give like us a little bit more efficiency, because right now we always have like to create the modules and then create tests and then create
a README with a lot of like comprehensive documentation that takes time, and then we change the code, and then like the documentation has to change as well. And like sometimes the documentation doesn't cover all the cases, like it doesn't cover everything that like can be done, simply because like I don't know, just all apps, like people forget to give that example on the documentation. So getting something more automated, more type friendly, something that like we can just say this function takes this and that, and then like it gets generated, and like we provide a search engine for people like to search all like that works, etc. It'd be pretty cool. There is some work, like some exploration going on that space, and this is something that we want to have done for this quarter. Frida, you are like leading this one. I'm not sure if you want to add something.
I'm going to work on this, and I have a rough idea. Well, I have a rough idea of what we can do currently. If people have better ideas, please comment on the IPFS community issue, which I opened a while ago, on how to best do this. So documentation has these couple of parts. This is about documentation, especially API documentation for all the modules. I've given this some thought, and probably the thing that we're going to use is we will use JSDoc, simply because we literally have nothing else that is widely supported and very widely known by the community. It's just the relevant thing to use in JavaScript at this point.
And it's not invasive, right? Like you don't have to change like the code base to make it work. Like you don't have like to add types, annotations on function signatures.
So there are two. So JSDoc has its own type system, quote unquote, which is you write types in the comments, which are not checked. So there's one other option that we could go for. So the other option is writing types that are actually checked through either flow type or TypeScript. This would mean changing a lot, though, in the code base, because our code currently is not typed, and moving from not typed code to typed code is not trivial. There are interfaces that we have that are probably not going to work out very well with typed code. That being said, we should like aim for this at some point. Making interfaces maybe not typed, but actually at least making them type compatible. There is one other option that I would love to get feedback on, and that is FlowType provides a version of adding types that are not invasive, that are comment-based. So you write the types in line, but you write them in comments. So the code runs as regularly, but the type checker actually supports these and can type check your code now. This would be a non-invasive option, but actually having a type checker check that it makes sense what you wrote in those type comments. I would love to get feedback on this, if this is an option, if people think this is crazy, they don't want to do this. I don't know. This is one way to do it. The other thing is, the other thing is then, how will we get this type information and the documentation? The goal is then to aggregate this into a couple of formats, the main format being a JSON, because that's super nice, and then we can generate multiple things from this. A Markdown version, which we put in each module, so we can push that to NPM, so people have documentation locally. And David wants to say something.
No, I was just saying that like Lars is pointing that let's have like basically just like describe what the milestone is. Let's make sure that those are converted tasks and like issues, and like we are just like looking to get that shipped by mid-November, so that we have all of those questions answered that you just asked, like as soon as possible. And like invite people from the community to discuss, and like let's keep moving because we have more milestones. Then like there is the standardized organization and WebP2P or cleanup. That's a work of like basically enabling people to jump into WebP2P and understanding how things are organized, because right now it's kind of a mess. You have to know what's going on to know which modules to use, etc. It's like what we have for IPFS when they come. Like they know, okay, this is the implementation in Jest, this is the implementation in Go, this is the project that you use this, etc. There's the peer-to-peer IO website, which Victor is leading. Victor's not here, but yeah, we'll have a website with examples and we things that you can even like examples that you can even run in the browser, and like links to the spec, links to applications using it, etc. Basically a welcome page so that people looking for a peer-to-peer can know where to find it. There is the we peer-to-peer, so like there is, I'm going to talk about these 3 milestones next all together. These like we peer-to-peer DHT, we peer-to-peer relay spec, and we peer-to-peer relay implementation. There is a we peer-to-peer relay implementation in Go. I believe the code runs. It was just never merged into master and released because it was not as urgent to get it done there. But now what we want with these 3 milestones is getting the relay to be implemented in JS and Go and integrated and release, plus the peer-to-peer DHT, so that like people that like load JS IPFS from a browser can find nodes in the network and get relay connections through the IPFS network itself. So like the goal is you should be able to load a JavaScript blob in your browser to a cat of a CID, not the Nash anymore, a CID, and like get the file like without having to worry how the things are plugged, how the plumbing works, which is something that doesn't happen now. Right now you have to know that you have to dial to other nodes, you have to know how to dial which transports to support, etc. And like with the DHT and relay, that will become like transparent. We'll not have to worry about that anymore. Then they can like tune it up to make it faster, but at least they don't have to worry about that. Cool. So these are like the 3 last milestones. We are looking about like this is going to be end of the quarter, so December, January, and there is more milestones that probably Lars wants to pick up now.
Packet switching or what?
So
what are you talking about?
I'm saying like there's more milestones than the ones that are currently on the PR.
There's one more for packet switching.
Yeah, so I'm like looking at
the tasks involved in that are settling the spec for multigram, which will do protocol negotiation and stream multiplex. Well, not stream multiplexing, but multiplexing over datagrams. So pretty much exactly the same what multistream already does over streams, but over unreliable datagrams. So we need a spec and a Go implementation for that. And then another task would be coming up with interfaces for doing unreliable datagram-based communication in the peer-to-peer. Right now, everything from the most high-level interface to the most low-level interface is stream-oriented. And then the third task would be actually making use of that.
Okay.
Something that also touches the P2P, but is more of a one-person endeavor is private networks.
Private networks? Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now. So it touches the P2P because we are introducing private networks on the swarm level in the P2P. So swarm is being part of the private network. It will use encryption on the first level, so only an exchange will be encrypted.
Okay.
I've got a question. Has there been any thought put into how JS would join the private network?
So the thing is that you already need, like, the crypto primitive is very simple. It's just salsa. Where there are implementation in pure JavaScript, unfortunately, it is not in web crypto.
No, definitely not.
No, I hope that someday it will be, because it's like That's my hope. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But the benefits of Salsa over IS are quite big, like 2 times or 3 times performance of small
Yeah,
architectures.
that's totally fine. I'm just like, if just wanted to know if there's anything around the transports that we need to like have to worry about, or if we can just.
No, in theory, you should be able to just like do the same thing we will do in Go,
cool.
which is encrypted connection.
Just slow.
Just much slower.
Do you have like a write up of how that is being developed? Like you were like saying that.
I have two write-ups. I have one write-up about the
I believe I have like some notion of what you are working on because of like all the conversation before, but like other people cannot. What I would ask you is like if you can like have or like complete the roadmap with this milestone and the links to the write-up. So on.
I will just link it here and then update the milestones. Like there isn't many milestones for it because it's like it's either not done or done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure if I got what you just said.
So I mean, there are not many. Like there is milestone getting private networks done in Go. I don't know how. I will try to write a nice spec of it that will also work for that will allow JS to implement it easily.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Like, but like there's some tasks there, right? Like, so you said like doing the write up, getting review from some cryptographer that like someone on the space that has knowledge to like give you some feedback. Knowing if we can find the same primitives in JS so that we don't have to write them from scratch.
I've already searched for that. There are many primitives for that. Like the like Salsa is very popular crypto nowadays, so it isn't a problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Any other questions for Lee peer-to-peer? There's like roadmap. Not at all.
I know probably like part of the P2P work is reducing the bandwidth usage because it's mostly with P2P protocols. We touch them, but I'm not able to like tell more about it because it's mostly Jeremy.
I see. Yeah, I'll make sure to ping Jeremy today and tomorrow when he's back, so that he can like also look at these notes and add the milestones that he has to add to the roadmap.
I have no.
Go ahead.
No. Are you finished with the roadmap, or are there more roadmap ones?
I don't have any more. Lars already added his. Kuba just mentioned private networks. If there is no one else with more roadmap stuff,
cool.
We are done.
Because I want to propose something, or at least flag it. So currently, WebRTC star signaling server is a server that needs to be run by someone. And I was talking to people and telling them about, hey, JS IPFS in the browser and stuff. And like, I was like, yeah, and you kind of have to run a server to get it working. And this is not, and I think there is also already a plan on how to fix this and effectively integrate, making every IPFS node a signaling server of its own.
Mm-hmm.
But this was never like planned or tasked for of doing this work. And I think it's a pretty important step, especially for when we have relay and the DHT, because then this is like really one of those last missing pieces to make sure that we are actually distributed rather than depending on some crook somewhere. So I don't have a notion actually of how much work this is. So I just wanted to flag it here, and yeah.
So on that, awesome. Like it was a very good point to bring, because two things. One of them is like with relay, you get this IPFS node to become your signaling server, because like you can relay a connection and then establish a WebRTC connection and then drop the previous connection through relay, and I just use the WebRTC one, which is basically what the signaling server is doing. Like it's a relay over WebSockets. And then there is the other thing that we can do, and really happy that Lars is here, because like Interfact like submitted a PR to JS-IPFS, and like he was creating a tutorial of how to getting JS-IPFS running on the browser, and he added a lot of great stuff to the tutorial. And one of them was like, oh, like you have to add this multi-other with peer-to-peer WebRTC star to make it work. And that's true, like if you want to WebRTC transport, but like because the WebRTC transport multi-other also identifies where the signaling server is, it doesn't mean like that multi-other is always the correct one. You just have like to have a signaling server running. What we can do, and like can make it easier for a lot of people, is just like host our own like signaling server for WebRTC star, and just have it on a public IP with behind a domain name. And like when we do a JS-IPFS init on the browser, we set that signaling server as default. What do you think, Lars?
Agreed. But it all sounds pretty easy, but you should remember that we don't have DNS support in multi-header, and we also don't have a way of signaling TLS or SSL in multi-header. So that's dependencies that need to be addressed.
That's true.
Until we can do that in a meaningful way.
Also, like from what I understand, it seems for me that the WebRTC signaling server plays similar role like seed nodes currently in the network.
What?
Bootstrap nodes.
Yep, definitely.
So this is something that we have planned for a long time in Go IPFS, is saving our peers to disk and then bootstrapping off the peers instead of bootstrappers after first. So this might be something to also consider to the P2P. I don't know if it will fit for this quarter. We talked about it too on the infrastructure, because like the fact that we are the bootstrappers means that if we go down, the network has to find new bootstrappers and so on.
Yeah. It's basically another discovery mechanism.
Like reusing our peers for future bootstrap. Yeah. It's the way to go for that.
Yeah, that would definitely make things easier.
One way.
How much?
One way to go.
Yeah, David. Just one question: how much work would it actually be to just integrate the WebRTC signaling server into into just a default JS-IPFS node, Node.js version, so that every time you start a JS-IPFS node version, you also start running a signaling server, which then can talk to the other nodes through the regular means?
Not much. Like when you install even the transport, you get to like a global CLI that you can just like write seek-serve on your CLI, and you get like the signaling server running. So we don't have DNS, but we can do
DNS.
TLS.
DNS is a milestone for me this quarter.
Okay.
And TLS as well. But yeah, we don't have it yet.
Okay.
And for DNS, I know how to do it, but not yet for TLS.
I mean, we could just say
like TL. Like, okay. I'm not.
We're out of time anyhow.
Yeah, we are out of time. We can.
Let's create an issue. I don't think there's actually an issue on this.
There is a comment.
Oh,
like
there's a comment. Yeah. Like, no, but yeah. And I mean, maybe the thing to do is make sure relay happens, and make sure that works well with this scenario. And that might be enough, right? Just, I think there should be a way, a plan on how to get rid of the server.
That's like definitely a relay. But yeah, as like you can see from the roadmap, like relay is also something that like we will be more focused on the end of the quarter. So this issue this task might be dormant till like beginning of December without everything else that we have at hand. But that's not really create an issue, and I start exploring and see what we can do there. Cool. Yeah, so like we are like 4 minutes over time. I believe there is not going to be an IPLD session today, unless I saw it wrong. If there is no other questions, I guess we can call it a day.
Regarding the IPLD, I think it might not happen because Nicola didn't get a response. He was asking whether he was saying he thought you might cover all the IPLD related stuff in the JS IPFS and the P2P calls. Is there, so I guess to rephrase it now, is there IPLD specific stuff that you need to discuss or that Friedel needs to discuss?
In terms of implementation wise, no. So unless there was a major change on the spec, we are good.
Did you hear, David? There was a major change on the spec.
Yeah, like it's not clean data anymore. Now it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
there is, I mean, Friedel, we should open that issue with the examples of IIIF.
Yeah, we should.
We're having trouble round tripping it, but that doesn't need to be discussed on a call.
No.
We'll just David, keep an eye out for the issue when Friedel posts it because it is very relevant.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely. Once you open the issue, just like tag me, and I will get the notification and see it. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hope that this was helpful. And yeah, have an awesome week.
Thank you, everyone.
Hack on IPFS.
Make IPFS great.